Hey guys, welcome back to the second part of the California trip. We are starting the video off in Redding at the Sundial Bridge, and from there we drove to Lassen Volcanic National Park, one of the lesser known national parks in California. And on our way, we passed a ton of snow.
I mean, look at all the snow. Also, I have a mic on now. So she's touching the snow. Hopefully the sound is fine with this. Ew, he just spit. She wants me to touch it though. Meh. That's what I was gonna do. Well, I looked up because I was gonna throw this one at you. Ah. Yep, here we are. You found tracks. Let's go see whose tracks they are. Wow, it doesn't help at all. But here's the view. Yep, I don't know really what else to say. So, yep. Wow, that was awesome. I caught it. It also went down my shirt, but
Okay, so after stopping to play in the snow for a bit, we got back on the road and started driving for our first hike, which actually ended up being closed due to all the snow, which, keep in mind, it's July. Literally summer, and there's still snow. Absolutely crazy.
I made it to the first hike.
Okay, so after a couple pictures, we kept driving up the mountain and we passed by this cool frozen lake. Oh, at the next stop, we saw this Canada geese family. So cute. It was along this trail by some lake and campground. Anyways, I took a lot of pictures of the little babies, and they should be on my Instagram. Plug. Okay, our next little walk was around another lake, which these weird red plants are called snow plants. And what's kind of cool about them is that they lack chlorophyll, so they don't photosynthesize. Instead, they get their nutrients from mycorrhizae fungi that are attached to the tree roots, making them parasitic. And here's a tree with some weird stuff coming out of it, maybe sap, I don't really know. But this trail was super cute. We saw quite a few other species, like this tiny, tiny bird called a brown creeper that would cling onto the trees. We saw common sagebrush lizards, and I swear I saw this big blue cicada fly very close to my head. I know we saw more, but I can't think of it. Oh, and here's another one of those snow plants, much bigger than the others we saw earlier. But this park is super unique. Like, you had these lakes and very lively areas, and then you have this rocky part that kind of looks like a volcano erupted. Next stop was this little stream where we kind of just hung out and watched the water flow. Then we found a giant area full of snow, so we had to stop to go play in it because when else are you going to be in this much snow in the middle of summer? Oh, here's a video I took of us leaving. It's just funny watching my mom try not to slip coming down from the snowy area. It was fairly slippery, so I don't blame her.
There's something wrong with her. Here we go down. There they are. You probably just saw them. Now I'm walking down, and let's see if I slid.
Of course, I had to record myself coming down too, and you can see how slippery it can be.
Here she comes. Here she comes. Whoa!
Say that, and that's when I slid.
Here's that frozen lake again from up above. And now we're walking to the last part of the park we visited, completely different from everything else we saw in this area. It's known as Sulfur Works. The area is full of these boiling pools of water and mud that smell absolutely disgusting, like the worst rotten eggs ever. And it's like suffocating when the steam blows in your face, but this hydrothermal area is still super cool to see. Then we went to Lake Tahoe to paddleboard for the first time, which I'll say the paddleboarding part itself was super fun. Would totally do again. Lake Tahoe, on the other hand, kind of a letdown. I mean, I can't complain too much with these views, but it was so packed, and what you don't see is the film of bright yellow pollen on top of the water. Yuck. Oh, here's a clip of my dad almost falling, which is funny, but later on he actually did and nearly lost his glasses to the bottom of the lake. Then near the end, we were greeted by some more Canada geese swimming by us. Then we made it to Reno, Nevada. Woo. That's it. We then drove to our Airbnb near Yosemite, which was my absolute favorite stay. You can probably see why, because here I am in my natural habitat just bird watching early in the morning. So that bird was an acorn woodpecker, and I took some of my favorite pictures of them here. If you listen closely, you can hear this guy drumming on the tree next to me. Anyways, let me tell you a little bit about them. Acorn woodpeckers aren't found too much in the US, only a couple states out west, including California. Most of their time is spent storing acorns. Pretty sure this group living around here was storing theirs in this power line pole in the distance, because I would see a few there at one time. So what's weird about these birds is that each group of like 12 or more have multiple breeding males and females, so there's no monogamy like other birds. And all the females will lay their eggs in a single nest. And it's common for them to break other females' eggs and then eat some of their own. It's really weird and kind of surprising they're still doing fine. Oh, and here's one of them chilling in this tree. Super cool. I also saw a ton of other birds here, like an ash-throated flycatcher, which is also only found out west. A cool fact about these guys is that living out west means having some cool adaptations to allow them to live in this desert-like habitat. So like other desert animals, these ash-throated flycatchers don't need to drink water, but instead they get it from the food they eat. Just because they're most common out west, they sometimes venture out to the east coast, but out there you'll mostly find their relative, the great crested flycatcher. Okay, I'm not too sure what I'm looking at here, but it's probably another bird in some tree in the distance. I don't know. Anyways, another frequent visitor to the Airbnb was the Anna's hummingbird, which will someday soon be called something else, I assume, with all the bird name changes supposedly happening. Anyways, like all hummingbirds, these guys are super tiny. Like the other birds I've talked about, they're only found along the Pacific coast. Okay, now here's your little fun fact. You may know male hummingbirds typically have this iridescent patch on their throat that shows off this super pretty bright color. Well, this is called a gorget, and in Anna's hummingbirds, they extend to over its head, and typically in other hummingbirds, the females don't have this, but in this species, they'll have a tiny red one. Okay, here's another clip of just the pretty morning it was, and I'll tell you about another animal I saw here. The California quail. When I got to California, this was the one bird I really wanted to see. Fun fact, you know their anglerfish-like head plume? Well, you think that's only like a single feather, but it's actually 6 feathers. Okay, finally, the Yosemite National Park content. Only like the most popular national park in California and maybe even the country. So this here was the famous Yosemite Falls. The falls was much bigger than normal, I guess, from all the melting snow. I don't know. But standing here, I was getting sprayed with water. Here's a different view from the bridge. And one from a trail across the street. Honestly, much better than being up close.
Here's El Capitan.
Like I said, there was the famous El Capitan, and now we're at the also famous tunnel view. From this overlook, you can see El Capitan, Half Dome, and Bridal Veil Falls. I honestly don't remember what this waterfall was. Maybe Bridal Veil? I don't know. I do know that it is another waterfall, and it's very tall. And here's an even taller one.
We're birding.
You want small ones?
He's taking crystallese. Because we just found them. Here, you can show that one off. We just found it. I don't know what it is. Maybe Anna knows. Oh.
Here are some pretty flowers. These are cornflowers, and this other one is a scarlet monkey flower. Okay, this was our last night here, and it was so much fun. At sunset, we sat behind the owner's house, and watched the bats come out of their bat house. This wasn't our first time watching bats fly out, but it was our first time with a front row view. I swear some of them came so close to flying into my head. I don't know how they missed hitting me. There were about 90 of them living here, and I'm not entirely sure the species, but we think they are part of the Myotis genus. But yeah, here are some clips of them flying out. There's no sound, so I'll just tell you what I know about them off the top of my head. Bats are cool. They're mammals. They don't turn into vampires. Also, don't be afraid of bats. Like, they're insectivores or frugivores. They aren't going to suck your blood. Only a few out of hundreds of bat species actually do, and I think they prefer cattle blood anyways, so you're fine. Also on their property was a barn owl box. By the time we had arrived, all the babies had already fledged, but most were still returning each night. We ended up seeing about 3 or 4 of the 6 fledglings, I want to say, and 1 or both of the parents. This was honestly so cool. I'll let y'all listen to them for a bit, but they sound absolutely crazy. It's like something scary is about to jump scare you. Ooh, the first one arrived. Okay, barn owls are so cool. Not only do they have excellent low light vision, but they can also locate their prey on sound alone, and they're like the best at it. Also, did you know they eat their prey whole, like a whole rat, skin and bones included? The guy who owns the place also has a YouTube channel, I'll link below. He posts updates on the owl box and the other creatures he finds here, like rattlesnakes, if you're interested. And now we're in Kings Canyon National Park, and here is one massive tree. Oh my gosh, for a split second I thought that was Mom. Oh, and now we're walking through a fallen tree, which, do you see the size of this thing? Like, it's crazy to think this is a tree. Like, and it should be a giant sequoia tree, which these trees are the largest trees in volume, as you can clearly see. Giant sequoias can live for more than 3,000 years, and I think we actually saw some that are older than this. Giant sequoias also only grow on the western slope of the Sierra Nevada in California.
We're walking through a tree and they're fighting. Oh.
That's not fighting.
Quick picture moment.
Actually, I meant her from behind.
And here's Dad, of course, walking super weird while we were walking another trail. Yep, so sorry you'll have to see this.
Stupid.
Okay, here's another trail with a massive tree stump we climbed on. Like, look how big this thing is. Like, this tree must have been absolutely massive. And here I am walking to the middle of it because my dad warned me not to. Kind of curious if anything lives down here.
Okay, right in the
Anyways,
middle.
this trail was so pretty. There were so many different wildflowers. Maybe this was because we took a wrong turn at one point and had to follow the main road back to the trailhead. Anyways, the next day on our drive to Sequoia National Park, we passed by this beautiful lake. We made it to the park, and our first stop was seeing General Sherman, the largest tree in the world, standing at 275 feet tall and a circumference of 102 feet. Wow, another waterfall. Here's the president tree, big chunky guy. We also saw the senators and reps. Here's another tree we're walking through, and that's about all. So, bye.